Your Angel, a Miraculous Ladybug interactive fanfiction. If you've never played an interactive fanfiction on this channel, click the card or go to the description box for a link to the video titled How to Navigate an Interactive Fanfiction. If you enjoy interactive fanfictions, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment in support. Now then, let's make some decisions for Marinette, shall we? Be careful, all right? Alia said, holding on to the ladder. You're going to fall! Marinette smirked to herself as she pinned another light to the roof. Little did Alia know she had the balance of a superheroine. Don't worry, she yelled back. It's all within my grasp. She stretched out further to get the next light. You're leaning over the patio. How about we go downstairs and extend the ladder? She could hear the worry in Alia's voice. Let me do one more and then go. It sounded like she'd be more comfortable that way, at the very least. Marinette leaned to the right a few more centimeters, just shy of the perfect place for the next hook that would hang the string of lights. She almost had it. A little further, and she slipped, tightening her grip on the string of lights as she inhaled sharply in surprise. She was sure to flip over the edge of the balcony, and the sleet pelting down made her balance unsteady. Whoa there, princess! An arm wrapped around her as her nostrils filled with the scent of leather. Somehow, she had her face in Cat Noir's shoulder with nothing under her feet. He caught her? How long had he been there? What should Marinette do? Option A. Thank him for helping her. Option B. Ask him why he's there. You have chosen option A. Thank him for helping her. Thanks, she said, slipping her hand across his back for better support. That could have ended poorly, he said. Cat grabbed the balcony railing and helped her up, perching himself on his baton to get a better look. What you up to? She held up the Christmas tree lights and shrugged. I've just got a little bit left. It's cold and wet outside, little lady. Are you sure tonight's the best time? Trust me, she's determined, Alia called out. She would have broken a leg if it weren't for you, Mr. Black Knight. Cat grinned at her comment, and Marinette could tell he wanted to banter. Well, he said, grabbing the dangling lights. How about I help out too? I'm especially good at hanging mistletoe if you have any. His comment made both girls laugh as he wiggled his eyebrows, lightening up the already cozy mood. Marinette gave him a playful push as he hooked the end of the lights to the roof, and he fell over, his baton tumbling to the ground with a clatter. Wow, I guess Cat Noir lands on his feet too, Alia said, her phone out and recording. The girls laughed as he brushed snow off himself and gave a thumbs up to show he was okay. After a few back-and-forth bits, he went off to continue his night without them, leaving the girls to talk about his sudden entrance. It was a good night, spent decorating the tree in Marinette's room and drinking hot chocolate while gossiping about their somewhat extraordinary lives. You've reached a good ending. Try again? You've chosen option B. Ask him why he's there. Cat! Marinette exclaimed, slipping her hand across his back for better support. What are you doing here?
It's cold and wet outside, little lady. Strays like me are looking for a warm place to curl up in.
She had to restrain herself from rolling her eyes, but Alia laughed at his joke. Bracing herself, Marinette reached up and hooked the last of the lights onto the roof, smiling at her quick thinking. There's no way Cat would let her fall, and she could finish her decorating. Thanks, Kitty, she said, patting him on the head. He helped her back onto the porch and perched himself on his baton to get a better look.
How about I help out too? I'm especially good at hanging mistletoe if you have any.
His comment made both the girls laugh as he wiggled his eyebrows, lightening up the already cozy mood. Marinette gave him a playful push and he fell over, his baton tumbling to the ground with a clatter. Wow! I guess Cat Noir lands on his feet too, Alia said, her phone out and recording. The girls laughed as he brushed snow off himself and gave a thumbs up to show he was okay. Oops, Marinette said, feeling a bit guilty about her lapse in judgment. We could use him for decorating, Alia suggested. She put her phone in her pocket and shot Marinette a smirk. Are you saying that because you want him here, or because you want an exclusive for your blog? Content, baby, content. What should Marinette do? Option A, invite him upstairs. Or option B, tell him to have a good night. You've chosen option A. Invite him upstairs. Marinette rolled her eyes and leaned back over the balcony. Do you want to come upstairs? I have more decorating to do.
Nah,
Cat Noir yelled.
I'm looking for someone, but thanks for the invite. You ladies have a great night, okay?
After a few back and forth bits, he went off to continue his night without them, leaving the girls to talk about his sudden entrance. It was a good night spent decorating the tree in Marinette's room and drinking hot chocolate while gossiping about their somewhat extraordinary lives. You've reached a good ending. Try again? You've chosen option B. Tell him to have a good night. Marinette rolled her eyes and smirked, knowing Alia was only half joking. Good night, Cat, she called, stepping backward. She felt her weight shift under her as she stepped on sleet and yelped. Her rear hit the cold, wet floor and she groaned from impact. Great. You okay? Cat asked, on the roof in an instant. His arm was around her once more, but Marinette couldn't tell if her heart was racing from the adrenaline or because she was suddenly conscious of his body heat. Unlike Alia, who was trying to stifle a laugh, his eyes were full of concern. Yeah, just wet. She looked away as he helped her to her feet, hoping the heat on her cheeks was from the chilled air or embarrassment. Are you sure? He asked, linking his arm to hers for stability. What should Marinette do? Option A, tell him good night. Or option B, invite him inside. You have chosen option B. Invite him inside.
Pretty sure. Okay, well, I'm not leaving until I see you inside that house safe and sound.
She hesitated before turning in, knowing Alia would tease her later.
Would you like to come inside? Nah,
Cat Noir said.
I'm looking for someone, but thanks for the invite.
Marinette's heart fell at his words, inspiring a silent screaming match at herself as she made her way into her bedroom, listening to Alia banter with Cat as she followed. He went off to continue his night without them, leaving the girls to talk about his sudden entrance. It was a good night, spent decorating the tree in Marinette's room and drinking hot chocolate while gossiping about their somewhat extraordinary lives. You've reached a good ending. Try again? You have chosen option A. Tell him good night.
Pretty sure. Okay, well, I'm not leaving until I see you get inside that house safe and sound.
She went to slide her arm out of his, only to have him grab her hand. Marinette looked up in surprise.
Safety first. I just don't want anything to happen to you.
The flirtatious twinkle he carried with him was back in his eyes, and she could see Alia biting back fangirl screams behind him. That was more like it. This is how the two of them would act normally, so she shouldn't be disappointed at him reverting to a silver-tongued stray. Thanks, Kitty, she said, stepping onto the ladder to her room. He let go of her hand 3 or 4 steps down, blocking Alia from following.
Oh, sorry,
he said, allowing her through. Well, good night then, Cat, Marinette said, looking up at him.
What do I smell?
He asked, peering into the room. Pine needles, Alia said, pointing to the evergreen candle on the desk.
No, something sweet.
Chocolate chip cookies? Marinette said, thinking out loud. His ears perked up. Are they warm? The innocence in his question made her laugh as he unconsciously started climbing down the ladder, led by scent alone. Probably not, but there's an easy fix.
How do you make them warm again?
Cat asked, eyes wide in wonder. What should Marinette do? Option A, tease him a bit. Option B, tell it to him straight. You have chosen option A. Tease him a bit. Marinette had to keep a straight face as she answered. Actually, she began, there's a special machine made for it. They can be expensive, but we got ours for a pretty good price.
Well, what is it?
The ears of his suit were at attention, and Marinette had to stifle a giggle before continuing. A microwave. His ears fell as his face twisted into a pout. Alia cracked up at the scene, gasping for breath as she made herself at home on the chase. Marinette was pleased with herself for her response, but she knew she shouldn't tease Cat Noir too much. Come on, she said. Are you staying or what? What should Marinette do? Option A. Invite him to decorate the tree with her. You have chosen option B. Tell it to him straight. Marinette had to keep a straight face as she answered. A microwave. His ears fell as his face twisted into a pout. Alia cracked up at the scene, gasping for breath as she made herself at home on the chase. Marinette was pleased with herself for her response, but she knew she shouldn't tease Cat Noir too much. Come on, she said. Are you staying, or what? What should Marinette do next? Option A. Invite him to decorate the tree with her. You have chosen invite him to decorate the tree with her. Are there cookies involved? He asked, crossing his arms. We're above a bakery after hours, Cat. You can have any kind you'd like. His ears perked up again. Snickerdoodles? I'll go get them, Alia said, raising her arm to volunteer. Thank you, Marinette said, turning her attention to the tree in her room. It was beside her bed, meaning it started on the floor and went all the way up to her pillow and stood taller than she was. No problem. I have to poop anyway. Cat Noir pursed his lips to keep from smiling as Marinette pressed a palm to her face, almost embarrassed of her best friend. Well, we may as well start decorating, she said, gesturing to a box. He happily trotted over to it, foregoing a knife or key to open the box by making use of his nails. Or perhaps they were claws. Marinette couldn't decide. He looked up in surprise after opening it, mouth gaping. What's wrong? Marinette asked. They don't match. What don't? The ornaments. They aren't matching. A lot of them are homemade. Why would they match? He picked up a felt tree she made in kindergarten and traced the outline with his fingers. Huh. You've never seen this before? He shook his head and looked up at the tree. So then how do we decorate if they aren't in a set? Marinette knew better than to roll her eyes. Maybe Cat Noir was a rich kid, or maybe his family had different traditions than hers. But she could sense this was a delicate subject for him. Wherever you want, really. Here looks good. She grabbed his wrist and led him to a tree branch. He looped the ornament on, fixated with it in a trance-like state. Instinct told her to put a hand on his back, and she followed it. I've never done it like this, he whispered. She wasn't sure if she was supposed to hear that. Well then, I'll start wrapping the lights if you can take care of the ornaments, she exclaimed. The two of them did quick work, helping the other out when the lights got too high and Cat used his baton for leverage, or Marinette dictating certain ornaments' placements because of the tree's overall chi. Alia hadn't reappeared by the time Marinette began wrapping the garland around her bed's railing, singing Christmas carols slightly off-key with Cat Noir. Time moved softly between the two of them, cushioning the magic in the air. Perhaps it was the decorations or the pine-scented candle, but it felt like Cat belonged there, even without her mask on. Huh. Cat Noir stared at the now empty box with his arms crossed. What's up? Marinette asked, leaning over the bed railing. There isn't an angel or a star down here. What should Marinette do? Option A, go down to look for the angel. Or option B, tell him to look again. You have chosen, go down to look for the angel. Let me check, Marinette said, stepping down to take a better look.
Do you have another box?
He asked. Nope, you're right. The angel's gone. That's a shame. At least the tree looks nice. Silence ticked between them as they gazed at the tree.
I should probably go.
What were you doing around here anyway? You know, before you broke my fall?
Looking for Ladybug. I've got something to say to her.
She hesitated a moment before withdrawing. Have a good night, kitty.
Yeah. Good night, Mare.
The nickname drew heat to her cheeks, and she stepped back in surprise. After another awkward goodbye at the top of the ladder to the patio, he went off to continue his night without her. Alia walked in at that moment. The rest of the night went well, as they drank hot chocolate and gossiped about their somewhat extraordinary lives, but something felt missing. Something was missing from a perfect December night. You've reached a good ending. Try again? You've selected option B. Tell him to look again. Are you sure? She asked.
Yeah.
He stuck his head into the box, only to get flock and styrofoam in his hair. That's strange. There should be... Marinette leaned over the edge of the bed too far, shifting her body weight past her control. She tumbled forward, but didn't make contact with the ground, finding herself in Cat Noir's arms for the third time that night. Her heartbeat quickened, and she knew it was for him this time, regardless of the adrenaline in her system. At that moment, his touch and body heat were everything, and she couldn't break her sight away from his eyes, as wide and surprised as her own.
You okay?
He stammered. Yeah, I am. Thank you.
Well, I guess we don't have to look for the angel anymore. I've got one in my arms already.
She didn't know how to interpret his words, so she looked anywhere but at him. Oh, mistletoe! She exclaimed, pointing above them. There's mistletoe on the garland! Marinette intended to change the subject, but realized after her statement it only made it more awkward.
Well, would you look at that?
Cat mumbled, adjusting his hold on her.
There sure is.
She looked back at him to respond, but her heart punched her ribcage as they made eye contact. He leaned forward and pressed his lips to hers, nothing more than a chaste peck. It caught her off guard, but not from the element of surprise. It wasn't the first time she'd kissed Cat Noir, but this time felt different. What was the difference? She thought about it as her hand reached up to his face, fingers splitting where his earlobe reached his jawline. It was almost as if she were in a trance, but she slid her other arm over his shoulder to rest behind his neck and drew her face to his, pressing their lips together with far more intent than the first peck. His arms tightened the embrace, fueling the heat on her cheeks as she came to her senses. Marinette broke away from him, pressing her hands to her mouth as Cat slowly opened his eyes, stunned by the moment. The look in his eyes was that of wonder and surprise, mixed with a splash of curiosity. You should go, she said, hearing Alia's footsteps below them.
Yeah.
he whispered, maintaining eye contact. That would probably be best for both of us. Neither of them moved, paralyzed in the moment and searching for the other's eyes for an answer to a question they didn't know how to structure. It was like they were in an alternate timeline where everything was the same except the two of them, a pair of humans altered by the butterfly effect. He put her down delicately, the emotions behind his gaze transparent and unreadable at the same time as his hands traced down her arms to her hands, grasping them in his. I should go, he whispered, reiterating what both of them knew. He left without another word, but not before turning back to look at her at the top of the ladder leading outside. The pounding in Marinette's chest was insufferable, and Alia commented on how flushed her cheeks were when she entered the room. Something changed between the two of them, and she could feel it. Marinette could feel Cat Noir's place shifting in her heart. You've reached the best ending. Great job! Yo! Did you seriously go to the end of the video to try to find the best ending? Are you kidding me? Come on, dudes, you can do better than that. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next interactive fanfiction. Kerchow! Also, bonus points if you hear my cat purring throughout certain parts of this.